Let's take a look at module number 3, or week number 3, if you want to call it that, if it's in the cluster of 1 through 5. But obviously the third module, which is going to be dealing with RV refrigerators. Now this is part of the RV Technician Apprenticeship program, okay? So let's take a look at it. Let's dive into what we're going to be doing and how these guys are going to be getting the hands-on experience to get things done. We know that these are absorption type refrigerators. These are not house type refrigerators that have a compressor. We're using a liquid in the back. We're using hydrogen gas. We're using ammonia. We're using sodium chromate and water. That is what they're using in these coils. And what we do is we use some sort of heat source. It may be a heating element or it may be propane, but we're going to take that liquid and we're going to boil it to get it to start creating a gas, and then we're going to use that gas to extract the heat out of the food compartment, out of the freezer. So these are not house type refrigerators. These are RV absorption type refrigerators. Totally different breed of cat. So, you know, I've got technicians that have come to me and say, oh, I've always worked on refrigerators. I can work on any house refrigerator there is. This does not have a compressor. So it's totally out of their league. So they don't know what's going on. And that's why it's so critical that we bring the technicians in and they understand how these things work. Now, we're going to have them require them to have a prerequisite. Now, we're going to require them to have at least taken the RV maintenance course. Now, this is the foundation or the core, which would have been week 1. Or we're going to ask them to have taken the home study option. Now, this is the one that where we recorded all of the videos over a period of a year, took the best of the best, put them in here, and put them on a USB thumb drive, and these folks have taken this course in the comfort of their home, on their computer. I mean, basically they're right there in the classroom with us because it was recorded. It was with camera and all. We have exercises for them to do as well. Then, of course, they've got an exam they've got to take at the end. There'll be some special cases. We always have that where somebody comes to us and they've got a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. They're looking for credentials. They're looking to fill in some gaps. So what we will do is we'll look at all of those things, the experience, the training they've had, and then we're also going to ask them to take an exam. We need to make sure they understand how the RV appliances and the RV systems work and function. So that exam will help us identify them. Because the last thing we need to have is somebody sitting in a class that's dragging the class down because they don't have the core, the foundation information. And I'm always amazed when I go to the OEM manufacturing or vendor classes, and there's guys sitting in there that are lost as they can be. Don't even know how to use a volt-ohm meter. Don't understand voltage and amperage and things like that. And so if they don't understand, you've wasted their time and certainly wasted your money and your time in your shop. So what we want to do is make sure they come to us. They're ready to rock and roll and get things going. What we're going to cover is we're going to go back into the operational theory. We will have already covered quite a bit of this in the core, the foundation, the RV maintenance course. But we want to go deeper. There's more that we need to give them so that way they can grasp the whole concept of what's happening here. We're going to do troubleshooting in the labs because we've got some units that are functional, got some units that are not. They already have bugs in them because that's we got them when we got them. That's the way they were. I've dug a lot of stuff out of dumpsters, had a lot of stuff donated, but it's critical that they see real life situations. We're going to get into components and being able to diagnose what's going on. They need to understand about that control board that's on the front side, that eyebrow board or that belly board or that toe board. That's the human interface. And then, you know, looking at how that human interface, front board, and that thermostat inside that refrigerator, how they work together, and talk to that circuit board on the back side, telling that circuit board when it needs to come on, when it needs to go off, and all of these things that are controlled by that board on the back. They need to understand how these controls function. We need to make sure that they understand how the propane heat goes, because like I said, we only have 2 ways to heat it, either with electricity, some sort of electric heating rod, or we've got a propane gas burner. These two right here are so critical that they understand how they function. Where do they get their power? What's the flow path for the signal that they're looking for them to function correctly? And how do they troubleshoot? What are the test points? Because that's always critical. What am I supposed to see here? What am I seeing here? Is that good? Is that bad? Cooling fans, now that we've got so many of these units that are in slide outs, cooling fans have gotten to be such a critical thing for us. And so it's so important that everybody understand how these cooling fans work and how that temperature sensor is kicking it on, kicking it off. Airflow on the back of these refrigerators is so critical as well. These things play such a big part that we need to make sure that they understand how it all comes together. We'll be also removing a set of coil and putting them back on, because once you've had that experience, you can't take it away from you. You've got it. You can read it in a book, but until you do it, it doesn't always make sense. And so we'll have a lot of those aha moments when they start taking things apart and putting those coils back on. It's so critical they put the right amount of thermal mastic. It's really important they seal and tape off the backside so we don't have air leaking in. So we'll be taking those coils off so they can learn how to do it. So when they get back to your shop, they can do it there as well. We'll be primarily using Dometic and Norcold refrigerators. They are the two hydrogen-based refrigerators that are out there in the market. That's 99% of what you're seeing. There were at one time some helium-based refrigerators put out by a company called Atwood. Of course, Atwood was purchased by Dometic. I suspect we'll see those helium refrigerators again after they kind of get them tweaked a little bit more, because it was a good unit. It really was. It had some good features to it, and I look for those to come back into the market. Like I say, it's critical we have the labs. That's why we have the service bays at the National RV Training Academy's building in the back, so that way we can pull those motorhomes, travel trailers, fifth wheels in. We also have an area where they can actually have an observation deck, so that way we can put everybody up on that observation deck, which is basically the roof of a classroom with handrails, so they can look over and see what's going on and identify the work that's having to be done, because sometimes you can't get everybody up on the roof, you can't always get everybody around it, so sometimes if they can be within just 2 or 3 feet, 4 feet, they can see it, almost touch it, and know what's going on and participate in it. These classes are taught by instructors that have got experience. I mean, as much as we try in the books that I've written, it's so difficult to try to put head knowledge, experience knowledge on paper. So a lot of times the only way that you can convey this information to this new tech is with an experienced technician with some field experience, and that's what we've got to have, is that field experience where they can tell you, okay, you only need to take out these 3 screws and you pull the whole assembly that you need. No sense in spending 2 days trying to take out all these screws and find out you took out more than you needed. So that experience pays off big benefits, big dividends for us with these guys. So get these guys signed up, because I promise you it'll make a big difference, because guys are so afraid of these absorption size refrigerators. It scares them because they don't understand it. And once they get into it and realize it's not complicated if you understand what you're looking for. It goes back to that 80-20 thing, easy to access, easy to fix. If somebody will just show you how. So many of the problems we have with these RV style refrigerators are easy to access, easy to fix, but we need somebody to show us how, and so that's what we'll do in this class. So get them to sign up for the RV absorption refrigerators here for the apprenticeship program, and then that way when we send them back to you, they can be productive day 1.